Hello everyone, welcome to Host Feather Woodworking. My name is Allan. I have an 8-year-old son, and like most boys his age, he likes to play soccer and baseball and set the neighborhood cats on fire, but his favorite pastime seems to be piling all of his clothes on the floor of his bedroom. So in order to help combat that, I decided to make him a very simple hanger for his wall. Now this is just some scrap beech, from a previous project with some simple hooks attached. All very simple yet elegant. Or simple, probably just simple. But I also have a 10-year-old daughter, and because every single thing must always be 100% fair, always, just like life, I've decided to make her own version of the hanger. Now I'm going to make hers out of scrap MDF, but it's going to be a little fancier. With one edge already squared off, I cut the piece to width. In this case, there's no need to actually measure. Just cut it to the size that you like. Square off one end and then cut to length. This is also arbitrary, but I've decided to match it to my son's hanger. I'm going to add a sort of fake beadboard look to this, so I lay out the hooks and mark for the grooves. Slightly raise the table saw blade. I set the fence for the first cut. I want each set of cuts to be the same distance apart, so I use a scrap piece clamped to the fence as a spacer. Measure for the first cut and then set the fence. I slide the spacer back so it's in front of the blade. Make your first cut and then flip the piece around so you make a symmetrical cut on the other end. Remove the spacer and repeat. You don't generally use the miter in conjunction with the fence, but I find with cuts this shallow, I've never had issues with kickback. However, moving forward, I think I'm going to modify this technique a little bit just to be on the safe side. There's a certain indignity to being injured by MDF. If you're going to get hit, you at least want it to be oak or walnut or something good like that. You'll need to set the fence exactly 3 times. When you're done, you'll get this. Next, I want to add a simple frame around the edge using scrap 5mm HDF. When ripping thin strips like this, I like to use a sacrificial push block. They're easy to make, so don't be afraid to cut them up. Mark and cut the side pieces and glue them into place. I'll let these dry before fitting and gluing in the long pieces. Position the hooks wherever looks best to your eye. It so happens I like the tops of the hooks to be aligned with the top of the piece. Then I'll mark out and drill the pilot holes. These should be small and shallow, just enough to get the screws started. We can mount this to the wall using the keyhole bit on the router, but that can often be a real pain to install accurately. I much prefer screwing these directly to the wall. However, I don't want to see any screws, so I'm going to hide them under the hooks. Make sure to countersink so they don't interfere with the hooks themselves. Sand flat and knock off any sharp edges. The fake beadboard leaves us with these little gaps. Once they're mounted to the wall, you're not going to see them, but we can still quickly fill them with some pre-mixed putty. Depending on the project, I'll use a coat of primer first, but for something like this, I find a couple coats of acrylic paint does the trick. I'll use a roller and a small brush to make sure I get into all the grooves. This would be a great spot to use my sprayer, but I do not have one. Once the paint is dry, go ahead and mount the center hook. We don't mount the two outside hooks until after we install the unit on the wall. And that is how you keep your kids' room clean. I hope. Thanks for watching Holtzfeller Woodworking, everybody. Remember, hit subscribe down below so you don't miss an episode. Stay tuned.